Dun 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 dun
Woo!
dun 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 dun.
We're terrible. Welcome everybody to a brand new show on World 11 Podcast Network. This is Dr. Who Dis. I am your host, Larry the Bearded Wonder. Joining me is Josh the LeGrew
Hey everybody.
and Adele the Disastery.
God damn it.
So, brand new show for us, and we're venturing outside of our usual realm of video game bullshit into a little more broad spectrum nerd culture. We're actually going through the entire run of New School Doctor Who or New Who, and we're picking through one episode at a time. No binge watching, no forward knowledge. Adele and I have jumped into the TARDIS and got all timey wimey, and we've wiped our brains of all forward knowledge of any upcoming episodes. And Josh is actually watching New Who for the very first time with us as well. And so this week we want to start out with season 1, episode 1 of Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, Rose. So I'm curious to hear. I want to start with you, Josh, because you're legit watching this for the first fucking time.
Yep.
What did you think? Because you grew up watching classic Who.
Yes. Yeah. I grew up, and like I said before, in our chat, some of my fondest memories are watching this with my dad, and just kind of like how he kind of molded me into the nerd I am today. you know, um, but yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the throwback to Who. It's a very British show. It is very Who so far, and I'm really, really liking the way they're going with it.
Very campy.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there's a part of that you kind of like that's Doctor Who, and it's got the DNA of Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm.
and the Doctor is the perfect cast, I think, for the first Doctor on this, at least of my knowledge of actors and
Mm-hmm.
the way that who they had to choose from. I think it works out perfect.
Yeah. And Adele, your thoughts, just initials on Rose as an episode.
On Rose,
As an episode, yeah.
she's annoying. First episode, she's annoying. She's an annoying little whiny bitch.
She really kind of is.
Kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, no, Rose doesn't make a great first impression as a character. As an episode, I do think it sets a tone well though. It definitely lays groundwork. This is coming off of a point where the show's been off the air for what, 15, 20 years?
Yeah,
You know,
25 years.
I'm gonna say you had the one-off in the 90s that was the only appearance of the Eighth Doctor.
Yes.
Was that 95?
I want to say it is 95. I can't remember.
Yeah, so that puts this almost 10 years later. But, picking up essentially right where it left off.
Yep.
I love at least the new interpretation of the Doctor. His speech to Rose in, well, who are you? And he's like, when they tell you that the Earth is spinning at 25 million miles an hour, that speech is
67,000 miles around, 1,000 miles an hour and 67,000 miles an hour orbiting, and I feel it.
Clinging to the skin of this planet.
Right.
It's that idea that he is kind of that vague existential fear that you just can't quite put your thumb on.
Right.
But it's I forever love that speech. It'll give you chills every time. It's so well delivered too. So she was left behind, but she definitely had a significant part in the first episode. What did everybody think of Jackie?
Go ahead, Adele.
Can I call her a horn dog?
Is
that accurate?
Sure. It was. God, that's a great scene.
Why is she? Why? Just why? She doesn't know this man. She doesn't know who the fuck he is, where he came from, and she's just like, there's a strange man in my bedroom, and I'm in my nightgown. What the
Anything
fuck
can
is that
happen.
shit?
No.
No, it
No,
can't.
he
I
shut
love
that
that
down so
shutdown.
fast. He's just like, no, it's not happening, Jackie.
The humor is great. It's so fucking spot on.
It is perfect, and that's part of the thing that kind of started hooking me almost
Mhm.
right away. Was I really did enjoy it. So,
Yeah. You get a definite taste of the humor right off too, right from that very opening scene. I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name? Rose. Rose, nice to meet you. Run for your life.
right, run, yeah,
Right, and it calls back to that classic, thematic of run, always running, run, 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 run.
right,
I have a question about the running, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So first episode, there's a scene, and he parked the TARDIS all the way, like, way the fuck over nowhere, and then they're running. And you see, like, public transportation passing them as they're running. Why didn't they just take the bus? It would have been faster. They're running, and, like, it's dramatic, I get that, but, like,
No bus
why?
pass.
oh, yeah.
The doctor has money.
They were in zone one,
Probably.
and
Rose has money.
Rose might.
They could have.
She might. I
could've
mean, she might not though. She's out of a
isn't
job
there a
now.
scene when Rose is actually riding the bus? So,
I think so at one point. Yeah,
yeah,
right at the very beginning, but it's kind of come and gone real quick. That whole opening scene was just a super rushed intro, and it stops so abruptly. It's like, eh?
It is definitely a first episode of a series,
Mm-hmm.
and it I don't know how to put that, but if you watch one episode, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I like it, but I need more.
Yeah.
So I was
definitely leaves you wanting to see.
Yes, I wanted to see more. So it did what it was supposed to do, I think.
It very much puts you in Rose's shoes. It's like, okay, I've met him, and now where do we go? I want to go everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, she just basically tells her boyfriend or whatever he is,
Mickey,
see ya. Yeah, I'm done. See ya.
Make-
This is the chance of a lifetime, basically. I can't pass it up.
Right. Like, I'm out. Well, and not only that, but watching Mickey sit there whine and whimper and watching Eccleston look at him and go, yeah, he's not welcome.
Right. Yeah, he's just a little bitch.
Man, fucking super snub.
Yeah, he's just a little bitch. He just needs to go.
Just no, you're not coming. No,
Right.
No, I can't handle you.
Right. It's not happening.
Well, that line, right at the keep the domestics outside, please. So,
Right.
Like, nope, I don't want your bullshit. We're here to go have fun.
So I just want to throw this out there. What did you guys think of? I know you've seen more than this, but what did you think of the story of the first episode? Like the actual story.
God.
I think the Nestine consciousness is a really weird pick for bringing the show back because it's been around, if I remember correctly, in Classic Who, but it's definitely not one of the ones that when you think Doctor Who,
you don't think about it. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's there, but it's very B-level in terms of, recurring species and villains.
No, I agree. That's kind of the thing I thought about it too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, like, why did they pick this? But then I'm thinking, man, they must have some really awesome storylines coming up that
right.
I'm good, and this is just to get you it's kind of one of those things where you might not have any preconceived notions on, so that you could get kind of hooked into it. And you're just kind of getting hooked into the Doctor, I think, in this episode. And Rose is what they're trying to do. Hook you into that dynamic, not so much the enemy or
I think that's part of why they did it too, is because that way it's more focus put on what's reintroducing, a brand new generation into the Doctor and into Rose as a companion, and the concept for the show of go anywhere and everywhere and every when. So, but what did you think of the Nestine, Adele?
Oh man, the mannequins, Larry.
They gotta be students.
No, so there's actually a story. I remember the first time ever watching this, and I was brought back to it today. I used to work in a museum. This episode of Doctor Who ruined mannequins for me. Like, mannequins
really?
now terrify me. Yes,
So you
yes.
didn't ever watch that movie Mannequin?
There's a movie?
It's, Leary, you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
The movie from the 87?
No,
86?
thank you.
Right.
It's called Mannequin, where the mannequins come to life.
No, thank you. No, just no. The mannequins were terrible. Like, it's living plastic. Use something else. Why the mannequins?
I
Well,
like how
to
they
be
were
fair, they
slow
did
and
say that
fast.
there was going to be more, more than just the mannequins. The shop window dummies and the restaurant plants and everything.
Right.
So I really kind of was disappointed I didn't get to see a fake ficus, get up and try and kill somebody.
I did like the scene
had-
when they were chasing Rose, and they're like slow but fast. It's
Yeah.
almost like zombies. Like she couldn't get away, but yet she could.
Uh-huh.
It was more of like the surprise. I think they were moving,
Right.
and she's like, "Wow, these things are moving." And then they're gonna kill you. You need to move faster.
Speaking of the mannequins, can we have a moment? We need to pour one out for poor Clive, who did all the heavy lifting of exposition of telling us, the audience, who the Doctor is, and then the poor bastard didn't make it out.
Yeah, he didn't make it out. One for the homie. Huh? Yep.
That whole scene with him was fantastic, though. Like, it really told you who the Doctor was, and it kind of got you wondering about him. Like, they mentioned the Titanic. They mentioned, like, that was fantastic, especially, given that speech that the Doctor gave. Like, it really just reiterated how serious of a character he is. It really built him.
Yeah.
And it sucks that he didn't make it out, though.
Yeah, the poor rest of his family. Mickey
Yeah.
was making cracks about, internet lunatic murderers, and he's the one that got off.
Yep.
Which, by the way, forever a favorite scene was Mickey getting eaten by the garbage can.
Oh, that was good.
Right?
Yeah.
And the garbage can burped at it. That was fucking great.
I did like, however, whenever he looked over, it like kind of still moved, but then just said, stopped.
Uh-huh. Oh, shit.
How would you like to be that guy in there? There was a dude in there
Uh-huh.
with the cutout bottom pushing.
Somebody
that
on his
thing.
resume has that he played a part on Doctor Who. And he has
Garbage
to
can number
explain-
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking terrible. That poor bastard.
Yeah.
So, music. How do you like the music for the new run compared to classic Who?
Personally, I like it so far. You're talking about intro?
Just as in general, like even through the episode.
Like the songs they used and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I like it. Personally, it does modern it up a little bit. I did like even the intro music, that it was a real throwback to. I mean, it was definitely Who,
Yeah.
but it was more modernized, and I like that too. So,
Speaking of throwback, you'll appreciate this, Josh. They actually still make the TARDIS engine noise the same way they did all the way back in the 60s.
really,
Yep, it's a
That's-
key on a piano wire.
that's why it sounds the same.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
a key on a piano wire. And Adele and I were talking a little earlier today about the all the lighting on the walls of the TARDIS. I read
Circles.
I read a while back. I'm like, you know how they made those? She says, how? I said, they're literally like overturned flower pots with the bottoms cut out and lights put in them.
Sure.
Shit, you not. Just a giant sphere of flower pots.
Yeah. Hey, if it works,
Uh-huh. Well, it's almost fitting in the fact that it's just, it feels like it's strung together by string and bits.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So the tease for next week's, what did you think? Are we excited? Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to just see more. So this is good for me. You know, for me, it did what it was supposed to do. I think
Yeah.
it made me want to watch the next one.
Good. Adele,
Yes.
are we excited to revisit the rest of original New Who?
I remember key parts of the next episode, and I am excited. Like, I feel like first season New Who is just so cringy, and I remember thinking this when I agreed to do this podcast, but now rewatching it, I'm just sitting here going, oh man,
you made the
2005
wrong.
was rough.
You chose poorly.
No, without giving anything away, I will state off the bat though that Eccleston is actually to this day still my favorite Doctor. So, his portrayal has always been phenomenal. I mean, and right from the jump, I loved that he was kind of cheeky and a tidge snarky.
Yeah.
Watching him, take that minute too and just see himself in his new regeneration for the first time was great. Not bad. Look at the ears though. And
he's very British.
Yeah, well, and taking a minute to try and figure out who he is again,
Right.
That bit of, maybe not.
I actually had never caught that bit before, so
Really?
I actually had a good laugh at that. Yeah, I never caught that before. That he was like looking at his new regeneration and making fun of his ears. I had a good little chuckle.
Well, and what's neat too is you realize he's been in that body in this regeneration for a while. He's just never stopped to look for a minute.
Right.
Jeez.
It's a subtle detail, but it's well delivered.
Because what was it? It was quite a few years because they had pictures of him for what, like 100 years or something like that. There
was what was it, Krakatoa and the Titanic and the Kennedy assassination. I mean, granted, those all could have been last week for him, considering.
Right.
But know that he's been running around at least for a little while, and he's been busy.
Right.
So, and I like the way that they slide that detail in without saying it explicitly. So.
Yeah, and those kind of details is what kind of made it like really feel like Doctor Who to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even in the classic show, he was always kind of like out of his own skin, really. Like he's never really comfortable. He has all this knowledge and abilities, but he can never fully utilize all of them at once, because he doesn't remember it all.
Right. It's always time to readjust again.
Right. And then there's never any time because there's always something going on, some fire to put out.
Oh, yeah. No, that's always part of the beauty of it is just, wherever he lands, it's not even looking for trouble. It just tends to always land in it.
Right.
So, but that's part of what makes him a stand-up character.
Yeah.
So, since we're going fresh and running off of a blank slate of knowledge, especially for you, Josh, what are you hoping to see in the rest of season 1 as we work our way through over the next 12 weeks?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, what I'm really hoping to see, I'm just hoping to see more of what I've been seeing, which is kind of for me like a return to form for really pulling the DNA of the classic Who kind of into this modern retelling. And I'm excited to see it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're going to pull some of the old, enemies out and artificial intelligences and things like that. I'm sure we're going to see all of that. I just have no idea what's going to happen.
And Adele running as a blank slate with no future knowledge of the season.
Ooh, that's hard.
I know, we're getting timey-wimey. And wibbly-wobbly.
Actually, I can't really remember how his relationship develops with Rose. I don't remember a whole lot. So I'm looking forward to rewatching that and see how that develops.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good idea because I mean that was one thing about Who too. They always had that relationship dynamic between
Hmm.
the human
The
that was
companion.
there, companion that was there, and then the doctor. So that would be that's a legitimate good thing that I'm kind of interested in too.
Mhm. So I'm looking forward to in this rewatch picking up all the little pieces of the telling of the story of the war that was made mention of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The war, then the peace treaty, and
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
now that you mention that, it's might actually the first episode might be the perfect first episode
mm-hmm.
because it just teases you with all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't get too much in the weeds on it.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, it lays the beginnings of a lot of threads all at once, but it does so very lightly.
Yeah.
So, but um, well, I think we've hit a good stopping point. So we're gonna wrap up the very first edition of Doctor Who Dis. I want to say thank you to Josh and Adele for joining me, and we're going to have another run of this, and you can look forward to these coming up on the YouTube channel at World 1-1 Podcast on YouTube there every Saturday, and we'll see you back next week. Peace!